Hey there. It's me, Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the comment, thanks. Well, I guess so. On the way home, I glanced nervously at Julie and wondered what was ahead for me. When Julie and I entered, Sarah was there, sitting in the easy chair, her crutches beside her. A grin spread under her freckled nose. "Welcome back, stranger," she said, as I leaned down to kiss her. "Sarah," I began. "I don't know quite how to start telling you this, but your crazy sister had an idea about how I could stay with you when you go back to the children's hospital next week. She thinks that I can fool people into thinking that I'm her, and that we can be at Hope Haven together. Now I know it's weird, but maybe we should think about it." Sarah was laughing hysterically. I hadn't seen her laugh that hard since she broke her leg. I must have been right. She must be thinking what a sissy I would be. "Please, Sarah," I started. It was her idea. "I'm just desperate to find a way that I can be with you, and Julie can go to college." "And you said yes?" she asked. I nodded. "You sweet, wonderful guy. You love me that much." Slowly, I began to realize something. "You already knew about Julie's idea, then?" "No, silly," she said softly. "I knew about my idea. It came out of my warped little brain, not Julie's. I didn't want Julie to have to stay with me when she should be at her college job, and I didn't want to be 90 miles from the man I love for 6 weeks. Your idea. Why didn't you ask me, then?" "Because if I asked, and you were uncomfortable with it, you might say yes, anyway, and be miserable. I wanted you to have the freedom to say no. And I would have understood." By this time we were all crying and laughing and hugging. Once again, I was blindsided by 2 women, one of whom I loved very much. Wait a minute. If we do this, won't I need ID? What if a cop pulls me over or something? I asked. Julie thought a minute. "I know. You can drive my car and take my driver's license. I have a photo ID already from the college that I can use there. You can drop me off at the college on the same trip that you take Sarah to Children's Hospital. I won't need a car there. It's a small campus." Was this brilliant improvisation or part of a well-thought-out plot? I guess it didn't matter. "Now," Julie said. "You wanted to see if you could pass as a woman, as I recall. That will only take about 15 minutes, and we'll have you back to manhood by the time Mom comes home at 3. Now go to the bathroom and strip down to your Superman underoos, please. Have a seat on the toilet tank." I did so. Sarah pushed herself up from the easy chair and hopped 2 steps to her wheelchair, moving to the bathroom door to watch the show. "It's a good thing you shave your legs for bicycle racing," she said. "That would slow up the process." First she pulled out a bottle of makeup. "This is foundation. Your beard is a little dark, so I'd guess you will have to shave twice a day to stay presentable." She began slathering it around my face. "We'll just daub a little heavy this time. Normally, you will use some moisturizer and skin cleanser before you apply the foundation, but we don't have the time now." I noticed Sarah roll away out of view. After Julie finished the foundation, she was adding some eyeshadow. "Nice long lashes," she muttered. When she was tracing lipstick on my lips, Sarah came back with a pile in her lap. "My turn now," Sarah said. "Here's something for the 2 of you. It'll cancel out the blonde-brunette thing." It was 2 scarves. "Just put them over your head like you do bandanas for racing." I put mine over my longish straight brown hair, covering up my short ponytail. Julie covered her curly hair. Then she handed us each a sundress. Mine had a high neck and a low back. Julie just slipped hers on over her Banana Republic gear. Careful not to rub it against your makeup as it goes on, Sarah advised me. Now, come out and look in the hallway mirror. I think you two look great. I was speechless. I definitely looked more feminine than did Julie, because of my makeup and the lumpy clothes under her dress. You are both beautiful, Sarah smiled. In more ways than one. And it only took 15 minutes. They showed me how to remove the makeup with cold cream, and I dressed back in my grubbies. We even had time to make plans to tell our parents. The girls would ask their parents to have mine come over for coffee the next evening. Strangely enough, I was starting to get intrigued about this. The next night, the girls took the lead explaining the idea. I was nervous. What would they think? They listened politely. They expressed concerns, just as I had to Julie earlier. Mr. Holding pursed his lips. It's kind of a dangerous situation here. I admire your bravery and dedication for even thinking about it, Mark. But I don't see how I can be a good parent and let two underage teens who are boyfriend and girlfriend stay by themselves. It's not that I don't trust you, I trust you more than I would any other teenager. You're a great kid. But it still scares me. It scared me, too, and I admitted it. But as we discussed the situation, they began to see that we could actually be trusted if we gave our words that there would be no sex. They began to see a way out of their dilemma. I asked my parents what they thought. Mark, said Dad. I never thought I would give my blessing to my son being feminized for a day, let alone 6 weeks, but I can understand why you're doing it, and if you really want to, go ahead. I asked Mom how she felt. You're asking me if I will let 2 girls transform my son into a woman, well, a reasonable facsimile thereof. I'm afraid I can't give my permission. She paused, then grinned. Unless I can help, too. Does it seem to you that I allow myself to get blindsided by women a lot? Our next makeover. The decision was made at the end of our 2nd week home. The next day, Mom took me out to get my hair bleached. She said that to get my hair bleached and permed the same day might damage it too much. I had never spent much time worrying about damaging my hair before, but I guess it made sense. Lots of guys experiment with bleaching their hair, so it was no biggie. I spent most of the week with Sarah, of course, but I also spent some time doing guy things, hanging around with some of my buds. I told the guys that a cousin who worked at the university had invited me to come work there, which would put me closer to Sarah. I would be back in early August. I also enjoyed a few days of bicycle training and trial races. Last year, I had gone from Category 4, the lowest after beginners, to Cat 3. I had hoped that a full summer and fall of racing would get me near Category 2 status, which only a couple of people in our town had achieved. I guess that would be postponed until next summer. I was going to be able to take my bike with me to Hope Haven, though, but I couldn't be sure if I would have enough time to stay in shape. Since we were to leave on Sunday, the women who now seemed to be in charge of my life made plans for the end of my boyhood as I then knew it. The nail shop where Julie worked and the beauty shop where a good friend of hers worked would close about 7:30 on Friday evening. I was to come wearing sweats. I was to leave looking like Julie. Then on Saturday, the moms and sisters would pack and give me girl lessons. My mom would buy me underwear, makeup, and shoes. My feet were a man's 10, Julie's a woman's 10, 2 sizes smaller, they told me, and Julie would do my packing, dividing her wardrobe between us. That was encouraging. Julie's nails and hair were much more feminine than the rest of her wardrobe, and wearing her jeans, slacks, and t-shirts shouldn't be too majorly embarrassing. So now it was Friday evening. Since Sarah had been a hermit, only leaving the house to go to a weekly blood test and check up on how her stump was healing, I was a bit surprised that she wanted to go with us. After the last customer left, my mom, Julie, and Sarah paraded into Nail Fancy with me. So there I was, my fingertips soaking in a shallow bowl of some slippery liquid. Joan Kim, Julie's close friend, was lining up all kinds of things that made me nervous. "Are you sure this is all necessary?" I asked. "Wouldn't it be easier and cheaper just to get some press-on nails at the drugstore? Wouldn't it be easier and cheaper to race a Huffy instead of your Diamondback?" Julie asked. "There's about as much difference. Any woman who remembered me from last month would remember really nice nails, not cheap imitations. Besides, the cheapies fall off all the time. These will last at least a month, and probably the full 6 weeks. Joni is giving you these free, by the way. We have kidded around that one way to expand business would be if men started wearing long, painted nails, it would nearly double our customer base." Joan loved the idea, and said that she would like to give a man a full set, that she might do it for free, just for the fun of it. When I told her why you were getting acrylic nails, she was delighted to volunteer. Joan giggled softly. "This is fun," she said, "and it is a wonderful thing that you're doing. Maybe you'll like them and want to keep them." By this time she had rinsed my fingers and was poking around my cuticles. "They are a little broad and flat, but we can make them look nice." We talked as she continued working. Joan doesn't fit the physical stereotype of Oriental women. She is graceful and pretty, but is nearly 6 feet tall, at least in heels. At the moment, she is 6 months pregnant. "So, I began. "Am I your first male customer then?" I asked. "Let me put it this way. You are the first to get a set of long-lasting nails. I have some gentlemen come in for manicures. Then I get a few guys who want to dress up for a Halloween party, and get glue-ons that come off the next day. That's the difference. These are not only more lovely, they become a part of you. They will be so bonded to your nail, that you won't be able to take them off, unless you want to take your nail with it." I shuddered. "But you'll be able to help get them off when we're done, won't you?" She nodded and smiled, then started roughing up the surface of the nails. "You will want the same size as Julie's, I imagine, if you are trying to look like her?" I looked. Julie's nails never looked longer. "I guess," I said. "They just look so long to me." "How long are they, an inch?" "2. They are over an inch and a half when we first put them on, then we trim them down to different lengths. None of yours will be much longer than an inch from base to tip, but you can call it 2 inches if you like." She started attaching the long, clear pieces of plastic, drastically extending the length of my nails. Later, as she precisely trimmed the nails a bit shorter, she asked what color I wanted. Julie had assured me that she never told Joan about their nail polish pranks. I smiled. "Something in blue, I think." Although there weren't nearly as many blues as there were other shades, there were still plenty to choose from. I picked a lighter blue than the girls usually used on me. As she carefully applied the color in graceful strokes to my left hand, I admired her bright red nails, even longer than mine. I told her that I was amazed at her dexterity with them. "You will find that it takes some getting used to." She laid the brush down in a tray in front of me. "Please pick it up, with your right hand, if you will." I tried, but the nails kept getting in the way, and I fumbled it almost out of the tray. Now instead of trying to pick it up with your nails, or with the tips of your fingers, use the pads just below the tips. Bend the fingers out just a bit, so the nails are more parallel, don't reach straight in, but at an angle. Good. That's it. Now you try painting. I held the brush in my hand, at a slightly awkward angle. She held the bottle so I could slide the brush into it. Good, she smiled. Start at the base, out toward the tip. To my relief, she finished the job after I got one nail painted. When Joan finished, she airbrushed some delicate patterns on 3 of the nails. As the nails dried, Joan gave me some instructions on nail care and a bottle for touch-up. Julie took a picture of them. Sarah asked, "Could I borrow that polish? I think I'd like the same color as my new big sister on my nails." I smiled and handed her the bottle. As she painted hers, I looked down at mine. It was hard to believe that those long, delicately painted things extending from my fingertips were now a part of me, and would remain so for the next month and a half. It was kind of fun clicking them on the counter, though. I thanked Joan for her work, but then I got nervous. The streets were busy. Would someone see me and recognize me? I kept my hands balled up and head down as we got into the car and drove to Polly's pretty place, the salon where Julie's friend Tina Bydski worked. I was happy to see that it was a straight shot from the parking lot into the front door, where the next part of my makeover awaited. Here's the victim, Tina smiled. She was tall and had long, wavy, dark hair. "We left something for you here earlier, Mark. It's on a hanger behind the restroom door," Julie said. "Since you're going to end up all the way into your role tonight, we thought you should dress the part and ditch the sweats. Besides, if you're going to be twin, we might as well dress like twins." Oh, boy. What was I getting myself into? I peered behind the open door and saw a blue denim jumper with embroidery trim around the bodice on one hanger and a simple white blouse behind it. I hadn't paid much attention before, but Julie was wearing a plain green jumper and a white turtleneck. "Might as well get used to it, Mark," Julie smiled. "Do you want some help?" "No, I'll try to manage," I moaned. "But is this a good time to back out? Just kidding, I guess. Anyway, I need to use the bathroom." I closed the door. When I emerged in my jumper and blouse, I was wrapped in a pink smock and escorted to the hair-washing sink. With my neck bent backwards and me looking up at Tina, she began washing my hair. It felt kind of good. Afterwards, she dried my hair partway and began applying some sort of chemical goop into it. "This will take your hair from being bleached and pretty much colorless to Julie's shade of blonde." She did some things with foil, so my hair would have some different shades of color to it, and look more natural, like Julie's true blonde. And she worked some kind of lightening agent into my eyebrows. Then came rinsing, a spell under the dryer, and my straight hair now matched the color of Julie's. Next, I was led to a chair and asked to sit. "Now it's perm time, Mark. You're being a good sport about this." She pointed out the tray full of papers and rollers near my right arm. "To get the same curly effect of Julie's hair, we will use lots of the smallest curlers we have. It will help if as you feel me finish with one of this size roller." She lifted up a tiny one. "You will hand me first a paper wrapper and then another roller. It'll be good practice in using those gorgeous new nails." And it was. I dropped a few as we went on, but I slowly began to feel more sure of myself. Mom asked if she could apply a little makeup to my face as Tina rolled my hair. Tina could finish it up later. Tina said sure, and Mom began putting foundation on. Looking at my whiskers bothered her while the rest of me was looking so feminine. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment, thanks.